Welcome to the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show, wherever you are, based on different time zones. Good evening to you, good morning. If you're in London, good morning. If you're in India, good morning. Elsewhere, good afternoon, good night. This is the Gildarie Freddie Kissoon show. We are now in our 14th month. We come to you Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, live recording in the studio, broadcasted live on Guyanese Critic Facebook page, TBN Daybreak News page, and on YouTube. You go onto your smartphone or your smart TV now, and you will see us in the studio. Good evening to my co-host, Leonard Gildarie. I will do a Gildarie thing. When Gildarie is leading off, he usually have some reflections. So I have a few reflections based on what has been happening in the country. Now, this is what I'm about to say is Leonard Gildarie's pet subject, but I'm going to take it over tonight. Traffic, road deaths. The Attorney General was here, and he said he thinks that per capita we have the highest road fatalities in the world. Now, I know about 4 years ago that was so. We had the highest road fatalities in the world per capita and suicide rate per capita, of course. I think the fatalities have gone up. People are being killed on these roads in crazy ways. One accident in Craig, 4 people lost their lives, and that happened within a time frame when 2 other people lost their lives in different parts of Guyana at the same time. So that is Gildarie's thing, and I since I am leading off this evening, I thought I should touch on it because there aren't words to explain what is going on with road fatalities in a country just under 800,000 people. When you think that we have the highest road fatality per capita, then something is definitely wrong. What can the government do? What can the police do if reckless people drive recklessly and drive wildly? I would hope when we have the call-in, whenever we have our call-in, if there can be some advice as to what you can do to curb it, because no matter how you increase the penalty, which has been done earlier this year for death by dangerous driving, how can you stop crazy people from using the roads in reckless fashion? That's my first reflection. The second one is you cannot comment on court cases while it is going on in court, while the trial is on. There's been no trial yet for the young lady who is alleged to have killed 20 humans because she lit the dormitory on fire. But strange things happen in Guyana. For example, the Trade Union Congress, eminent nationally recognized historical institution, issued a statement saying the charges must be dropped. The young lady is just a child, and there are hundreds of children all over the world that have committed gruesome crimes and are in the jail, especially in a country that Guyana has been historically very close to, the United States. And then we have the lawyer that wants the charges to be dropped. I am going to sign off here and go over to Gildarie, but it reached the global media. It reached the media all over the world that a student lit a dormitory on fire and 20 humans lost their lives. And people want to retread the women groups, want the charges, the women group, and a set of people I call the usual suspects. They wrote a letter saying, drop the murder charges and charge her for treason. I'm going to stop there because I think some people have treasonable mind and treasonable soul that are lost Over to Leonard Gildarie.
Thank you, dear Freddie Kissoon, and good night, folks, wherever you are. I want to say welcome to my co-host, Freddie Kissoon. It's always a pleasure. I know, Freddie, I have that written on there, 4 die in the Craig. And this thing is so painful that I'm going to do something and step away from my normal thing and say right away, the government do need to do a COI into how driver's license, the process or the procedures, and how driver's license are being issued in this country. I want to bet you, Freddie Kissoon, I'd probably take you to a week of lunches if you so agree. And not the most expensive places, but if you to do calling 10 people randomly on the roadways and say, let us sit down and give me 10 road signs that you would probably know, you're going to be amazed and shocked to the very core as to what happened there. And it sends a very clear message, some conclusions as to what is happening with the certifications or people getting the license. And I'm not accusing particular people, but our system is so broken and people are buying the license. It's common knowledge out there. It's a public secret what is happening. And that, when you have 20 something, very early 20s, driving a truck on the roadway, heading to the airport, to the sandpits, that tells you a lot what is happening. How in the world is a young driver getting the driver's license? And we could go on and on, but this topic tonight is not for that. But that is a topic that needs to go on. It hurts me to the core that a little child is clinging to life because of somebody making a U-turn in the middle of the road and a truck slammed into them at Craig. It was only the night before somebody called me and tell me that particularly she's worried that something is going to happen because of the speed of the truck. She's living right there.
Gildarie, can I just interrupt you and say you were too young to know that area, Craig, has gone down in history. Prime Minister Burnham, in his car, ran off the road there when he was Prime Minister.
That's still wrong by that car, but I'm talking from...
And the car is now in the museum.
What was it, a Rolls Royce?
A Wolseley.
Thank you, Freddie. And then the kids in my heart also was bleeding for the 2 kids that were burnt to death in Swan on the Suzac Linden Highway. I must talk about that because it tells us, when parents are forced to leave the children, a single parent, to leave kids very small at home. These are the things that we're going to see, and these are the things that needs fixing. Tonight, the topic has to be something that's very important. In any country that wants to become a modern country, a first world country, its regulatory bodies must work. They have to work. There are laws, and these bodies, they have inspectors and they have regulations, and these bodies, these entities have to carry out the jobs as the regulators. They're there to inspect, they're there to ensure that people are punished or organizations are punished when they breach those regulations. Tonight we have with us 2 senior officials of the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, and that is one of a very important regulator in this country. And if you don't know, just for the sake, because we're going to delve into it tonight, if you're bringing in tires into this country, they have a say before it enters this country. If you have scales that are weighing stuff and selling to the people of Guyana, you're supposed to be certified. The oil and gas industry is upon us right now, and they play a very, very important role to make sure that instruments which are used to measure that are being used in the oil and gas industry, that they have to be calibrated and meet those kind of standards which are consistent with the industry. I want to welcome Bibi Khatoon, Communication Officer of the Guyana National Bureau of Standards, and Tyrone Rambacchus, sorry for that, Business Development Officer. And these officials are going to be the first in a series of officials from the regulators in Guyana, different areas. We have other regulators, so like the Environmental Protection Agency. I would say the police are regulators through bailiffs, public utilities commissions, the Guyana Energy Agency. We could go on and on. These are people, Public Utilities Commission. We have the public accounts committee. Those people are like regulators too. You can look at them in a sense like that. But I want to say welcome to our two guests, and very quickly let's get into it. What exactly does the Guyana National Bureau of Standards do?
Well, first, thank you for having us on this program. And some of you may know the GNBS as the agency responsible for standards or verification of weighing and measuring devices. The GNBS, that is basically what we do. We are responsible for standards as the national standards body, and as the National Measurement Institute, we're responsible for ensuring there is accuracy in measurement. The GNBS falls under the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce and was established in 1985. We are a semi-autonomous agency, and we have our main office at the Sophia Exhibition Complex.
Thank you very much. Freddie?
I am 72 years of age, so I've lived a long time in comparison to you guys. And I've never heard anybody named Rambacchus. Honestly, I know Ram Singh, Ram Lochan. So when I got the name, Tyrone Rambacchus will be here, honestly, now it could be naivety on my part, it could be inexperience, or it could be just damn ignorance.
Ignorance, I would say ignorance. Let's stick to that.
Or I could be a jackass.
I'd stick to that too.
I have never heard anybody named Rambacchus, but you always learn, never too old to learn. But Tyrone, thanks for being in the program. Bibi, I want to say something to you on this program, outside of the National Bureau of Standard. A little bit if we could get in on journalism. But let me start with something that is minor, but it's irritating to me because I grew up in a Hindu home, and I know what type of pulaui my mom cooked, and I know what pulaui should be like. Do you know, Bibi and Tyrone, for the past 20 years, the pulaui that we're eating from all kinds of restaurants anyway, it's not pulaui, it's flour with dye. Pulaui has to be made either with pulaui flour or actual peas. Now, what is the Bureau of Standard doing about that? I think it may be minor, but people are entitled to eat pulaui with the way it's stuff.
Well, that's a matter of
Do you know what is Marseille? Marseille is one of the leading conglomerates in the Caribbean with investments in the US. And Marseille's pulaui is very popular.
Are you asking the Bureau of Standards?
It's not made, it's flour, it's deceiving. The Bureau of Standard, you're going to go into Marseille tomorrow and as a aficionado, check that pulaui out anyway.
Well, I agree that standards should be in everything, including the pulaui and the food that we eat. The GNBS is not responsible for monitoring food products. That will be the Food and Drug Department and probably the Ministry of Health. So I'll ask them to look into that for you.
Some people...
No. It should... The Bureau of Standards is a wide remit. It's standard. So the Food and Drug is concerned with safety, not standard. The Food and Drug is how the environment in which food is being produced, etc. But if you're producing food that lacks the basic legal requirement that goes into it, then standards are lacking there. I beg to differ, but let's move on. Let
me don't stop there. Let's say
basic legal requirement. Is it legal?
I'm not going to stop there. Some people just cook up to Freddie Kissoon, and when I go, there's not cook up this kitchen. So I think let me don't stop there.
No.
All right.
Pulaui is a national dish.
I know, yeah.
But
so the cook up is here too.
Kitchen cook up are two different things. But let me ask. Let me start. Well, that was a really serious question.
Yeah.
But then again, other people may have funny see it. But the more pressing thing I want, the Bureau of Standards seem to be in the media and highlighted by going and checking on weights in the market. I've always know that they deal with running the markets with weight. I know weights in the market should be legal, but those are poor people. Do the Bureau of Standard go on the more richer companies?
Of course, the GNBS being responsible for the verification of measurement and ensuring accuracy, it's not only in the markets. We do verification from January, February, and March as the first part of the year, and then the second stamping period we have from July to September. During this period, while we do the mobile verification where we go into the markets, you will hear a lot more about that because we actually physically go there with a bus and we have the people bring their scales, masses, and measures, and we stamp it because that is to avoid them having to travel and lose a whole business day to travel and go to our offices across the various regions. But aside from that, we verify the petrol pumps in the gas station, the weighbridge scales that are used at the Demerara Harbour Bridge, for example, at the Berbice Bridge, for example. Even at the rice mills, we verify those weighbridge scales that they use. We verify the moisture meter is also used at the rice mills. We also verify the measuring instruments that are used at the supermarkets, those scales, that the electronic scales that they use at the supermarkets, even at the companies. And recently we launched the verification of net content on prepackaged goods. So if you're selling, for example, Polari mix, as you mentioned Polari earlier, the GNBS now checks to ensure that what is printed on the label is actually what is in the packet.
Well, we have now gone into an area of commonality.
But that's the measurement aspect of it.
Now I know the Bureau standard, what is you have to have the ingredients. For example, you cannot sell juice that is mixed with water and sugar. You can't call it juice. You have to call it guava drink. I know that's the standard. So if you cannot slap on the box guava juice, it has to be guava drink. That's why the boxes, all the juice boxes mark mango drink, guava drink, sorrel drink. Why it can't be the same for those products that are packaged and it doesn't have ingredients? Why it can't be the same?
In that case, I think it's going to go back to food and drug again in relation to the ingredients. We're going to deal with the measurement. But
Just two different things, right?
Yeah, I'll be sure to talk to food and drug people to get on your program.
But there's another regulator, by the way.
When the Anil was here, the guy from consumer thing, he said they only had 4 in the entire country. They only had 4 personnel to go and check on.
You're talking about inspectors.
Yeah, 4 they had. How much the Bureau standard?
Our legal metrology department that does this has approximately 25 persons.
No, okay.
And we also have offices in the various regions that will go out and do this.
But Tyrone, let's hear from you. What do you do?
I was actually just going to jump in to say, going back to what you were talking about with regard to the Polari, one of the things that we do, and a lot of persons, they're not aware of it, is that we develop standards. So if, for instance, there's not a standard for a specific product or the way you make it, the specifications for it, you can request as an individual, as a consumer, you can request for us to develop a standard for that. And then we can go through the entire standards development process, get that done, and then once something feasible,
you have to pay for that?
There.
No, actually on our website you will find what we call a new work improvement program. So you have an NWIP form, you fill out that form and you send it to the GNBS. And after you send that form to us, you will have accompanying documents or whatever reasoning you have behind your wanting of this standard to be developed. And our technical officers will look to see if there is a similar standard in the region or international that we can adopt. If not, then we will go through the process of meeting with stakeholders and developing that standard and putting it out too for public comments for 60 days. So anybody could comment and say this is what should be included or not be included.
So there's 2 things that's important here, because I want to have a quick follow-up question. For those people, what is it that people who have scales and they're dealing with the public and thing, is there a legal requirement by the laws with regards to the scales and what you have to do with GNBS?
Yes, the GNBS is responsible for implementing the 1981 Weights and Measures Act.
But are you required as an individual, as a business, to do something with the scale?
Yes,
and what is that?
Because it's in law, you are required to ensure that your scale is verified twice per year when GNBS does the
It
verification.
has to have a stamp on it.
And it has a stamp. So like in the markets, you will see a blue and yellow stamp is affixed to the scale, and it is dated with the inspector signing. When we verify those scales, we not only look to ensure that everything is clean and balanced, we also ensure that it is working properly. So you can't bring a scale that's not working and is not clean for us to stamp.
Freddie Kissoon, and that's important. I saw something, it was laughable, but it was so serious. A man went to La Penitence Market, and folks, he bought a couple, I think 5 or 6 pounds of pork, and the man gave you 4 pounds, and he went back and put a fine cussing to the man. And I think that almost let a fist fight. But I think a lot of the folks that are out there with scales, they're just falling under the radar, and I think that's something that Bureau of Standards are going to come. But that's drive home to me, Freddie, that there's a lot of people out there, and when people complain that there's short weight or anything, I think as people out there, and I happen to know it because I know what GNBS does. You could ask to see the stamp on that scale there to see whether it's certified. And I think that's something that needs to be known. You could ask.
Actually, they're supposed to have the scale in a position that you're seeing what they're doing. You know,
It's a requirement?
Yes. You
It's
know,
a
some
requirement.
people will go into the back and they will.
Yeah, they have vendors who do that. Yeah.
They're not
The scale
supposed to.
should
You're
be in
supposed to
front,
be
yeah.
able to see the scale. And the other thing, the video that you mentioned in relation to the argument over the weight, if I recall, that person was using a scale that is not approved by GNBS.
Which is a digital scale or something?
The blue dial scale.
The blue dial scale.
Yeah, the blue dial scale is not approved for
There's
trade.
the one that turns like this. So,
Yes,
right,
it's
right.
actually blue. It has a pan at the top, but it's imported for domestic use. So after consistently using it, it goes out of functioning.
Wrong
It's-
weight.
Yeah,
You give
you
it
don't
wrong
get the
weight.
right weight
Yeah,
anymore.
it loses its calibration.
Yes.
Its
So now
calibration.
you're supposed to not use those scales. And the people know this because when the GNBS come through, even if I have on my GNBS uniform and I walk through the market, you would see people start removing their scales and putting out the red equal arm scales.
So it is they deliberated. One of the things that I know here is that part of the things, and I want you guys to talk specifically with that. If you have a lab in Guyana, those labs can't just operate just like that. There's some standards or there's some things that they have to do. Any products in Guyana that's made in Guyana, there's some role that GNBS play. And I think this is bed and breakfast as well.
Yes.
Let us talk a little bit that, because when it comes, I think what I want to say to the folks out there is that in countries, for you to operate, and if people want to know if that place that Freddie has a bed and breakfast is happening, does it have standards? Does it meet the normal safety and health?
So the bread and
standards?
breakfast thing comes under your
Yes,
jurisdiction.
which is interesting to me too. But you guys
It's
could
not
talk
the
Tyrone.
monitoring. The monitoring is more the Ghana Tourism Authority,
Yes.
but we have a certification program which we launched recently, and this is to ensure that the national standard for bed and breakfast facilities, to ensure that persons comply with it. So majority of the standards are voluntary, but we have the certification program that you can sign up to. We visit and see that you have everything in place, and Tyrone can tell you everything.
So what are you looking for?
Yes, that's an interesting
Yeah.
one.
All right, so there's a local standard which has been developed that has the requirements for a bed and breakfast facility. So basically, this standard has all the requirements that this facility must be meeting. When we say that, we mean things like fire exit, things like basically specifications that you must have for your guests that are going to be staying. Now, it depends on the facility type, because you can have a single bedroom occupancy, you can have double bedroom occupancy, and all of these things. Basically, what the GNBS does under this certification program is that you sign up as a bed and breakfast provider. You sign up, we evaluate to see how well you're meeting all the requirements that are stated.
What are some of the requirements? What's that?
They have, for example, rooms that are AC. You have AC unit, you have fans, you have good security is one of the major things that is dealt with. You have to have a clean surrounding. In addition to that, a bed and breakfast facility cannot be one which you use and then when somebody come, you clean it up and you give it to them. It should be set aside for that purpose. So at any point in time, if you're certified under the program, the GNBS could show up and check and ensure that it's maintained in a certain way and that it's secure for your guests, and it provides the basic amenities like if you have a fridge, you have a microwave, you have the bed, the bathroom could be shared or the bathroom could be included in the facility as well.
But Gildarie, that's news to me. I didn't know
it's interesting.
the Bureau standard. If you can take that jurisdiction to its logical conclusion then and the same criteria you're applying to bread and breakfast should be applied to restaurants, should be applied to
No, but that comes
supermarkets.
under food and drugs.
Yeah,
and
but
tourism
right.
authority.
yeah,
Tourism.
but not bread and breakfast.
No, the better only just saying is that we talking about food here. Food is
No,
I understand what you're saying.
Right.
For us to monitor or for us to implement that standard for the restaurants, we can launch another certification program that caters specifically for that.
Yeah.
This certification program was launched for the bed and breakfast facilities, and keeping in mind that with CPL we need more accommodation for persons, and we fall under the Ministry of Tourism, Industry and Commerce as well, that looks to increase accommodation during these peak timings. So that was in mind when the certification program was
So
launched.
one of the requirements is that you must have security.
Yes, the place that the guests are staying must be secure. Whether this is in the form of a security personnel, whether it's in the form of
Oh, is that a requirement
security
that you have?
cameras.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking
Specifically
personnel.
about- no.
But the thing of this program that I think viewers that are watching will want to know is certification of labs. About
Yes.
that's
Let's
very,
talk
very
about that.
important.
Yes.
plenty labs around the
You know,
place.
I went to a lab years ago, and my cholesterol was so high that I couldn't believe it. I know it was not. And then I went to another lab, and it was almost 90% different.
All right, so with regard to the labs that are operating in Guyana, it is mandated by law that they are certified to the local standard for operation of a lab, which is a GYS 170 standard. Now that standard is something that, of course, the Ministry of Health, they are enforcing. We are just assisting companies that would like to get certified to it, implement the standards and these kind of things. So any lab that's operating in Guyana, what they have to do to come on board and get certified to this standard is to just sign up. They make the request to the GNBS or certification department, reach out to them, and similar with the bed and breakfast facility, they will examine the requirements of that standard to see what exactly they have in place. So it will be things like your facilities, things that your procedures, the way you operate, the way you handle your equipment, confidentiality, and all of these things will be evaluated as part of this standard. So another thing that we do as well at the Bureau is that any lab that maybe you're now starting up, you don't know specifically how to implement these different requirements, how to get certified to this specific standard. We assist them in that regard as well. So we have other programs like technical assistance where they can sign up. We have our technical officers work with them to implement these different requirements within their operations. So at the end of it, when they're ready to get certified, it's not an if or a but. They will definitely get it.
We'll come to some very juicy stuff in a moment, but there's an interesting program, I think, just as interesting as the bed and breakfast, which is a Made in Guyana
Yes.
program, or the project that's been pushed by GNBS. What exactly is that? And how many people, how many companies of our businesses have signed up for that?
All right, so Made in Guyana is basically for any local manufacturer that is making any product locally here in the country. So it can be, despite whatever category it may be, we have a lot of agro processors. We have persons that are manufacturing concrete hollow blocks. It ranges in different categories, but despite what it is you're making, once it's done here in Guyana, you can definitely sign up for that. The aim of this program is more so to give recognition to locally manufactured products, push Guyanese products to the forefront rather than everybody just buying these foreign products that are coming in that are imported. We just want to put emphasis on the local manufacturers in every category, in every sector. So with regard to that, it's a simple program where you just sign up, we check to see if you meet the requirements, and the requirements are so simple. Be a registered business, source your raw materials locally, or in some cases there's flexibility with what you need to import, and in addition to that, have Guyanese staff. And once you have those things along with your records and your documentation to show that we're operating a quality business, we can give quality products at the end of the day, we're going to verify that and we're going to be able to certify you. So it's as straightforward as that.
But that part of that requirement of Guyanese staff has to be contextualized.
Yes.
Because there's a serious shortage of Guyanese staff.
Yeah.
Because of the extraordinary boom in the economy.
Definitely. So with that specific requirement, what we actually set it out to be is at least 70% of your staff must be locally.
In the
local
whole,
Guyanese.
Tyrone and Bibi, in the whole context of things, standards and made in Guyana, those certification process that you have there, I think what the people need to know, and I guess you guys would have to tell us, it is important for me as a layman that if you have those kind of certification and you meet the kind of standards, it means that your products could be sold overseas because it has gone through some tests, it's been certified. Am I correct in that conclusion?
Indeed. So the aim of the program is to promote local products, locally, regionally, internationally. We work along with the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association, and some of the agro-processors work along with the Guyana Marketing Corporation as well to help them with the branding. You would now see a circular sticker with the colors of the Guyana flag on it, and it marked GNBS approved, made in Guyana. Those products have gone through the process of getting certified, and we have like small companies that would do the packaging of saltfish and achar and pepper and the different sauces, but we also have major companies like Namilco with the flour. We have Banks DRH recently joined onto the program, so we are trying as much as possible to bring all local manufacturers onto this program. So instead of just seeing product of Guyana on a label, you can have GNBS approved, made in Guyana, which means that it's gone through even more tests to show that this meet quality requirements. And it's not only food products. We've had IT companies, we've had the Barama, for example, that deals with wood products. We've had Florid that deals with wood products. We've had different companies sign on to the program.
So that's catching on very quickly.
Yes, and we're encouraging consumers now to look for the Made in Guyana GNBS approved mark or sticker on the items that you're purchasing to know that you were purchasing something that meets quality requirements and that was tested and certified.
I would like to see, Freddie, that sometime or the other, in some countries when you're certified and things like that, you get benefits from the government, maybe a tax rebate here and there as a kind of a reward. Incentive for those businesses. I think somewhere along the line.
But that should happen because when big business make donations, they reclaim it from the GGRA, and I guess that happens all over the world, and so it should apply similar to the other people. But do you guys familiar with the term "run the ward"? Is a term the boys in the street use. It's part of Guyanese subculture. Run the ward, meaning you check to see what's going on. Do you guys run the ward to see when you make random check to see the people meeting the cement mixing requirement?
Surprise inspections.
Yes, of course.
I call it run the ward.
Under all of the certification programs, we have impromptu surveillance, impromptu visits, and as part of the terms of agreement, when the GNBS officers turn up to do impromptu visit, you have to allow them into your premises to do that visit. So yes, of course, we do that with the labs, we do that with the bed and breakfast facilities, we do that with certified manufacturers, for example.
Scales.
Well, the scales, we do surveillance between the periods that we do verification. We do verification from January to March, then we do 3 months of surveillance, and same thing, verification from July to September, and then surveillance again.
Is expiry dates and so come under you or food
and drug?
Food and drugs. All right. Well, there's another interesting thing that I want to come, because we'll come back as we go down. There's a lot of stuff that GNBS does, and it's important because if you know that you have a regulator which has tremendous power, because eventually I
know one of the things that they don't do that come within their jurisdiction. So I'm going to stump them with that when you finish.
Thank you very much. Testing. You guys do, people have been complaining over the years. You buy a concrete block or you buy something and it doesn't meet the quality. You go into, I wonder
like
what.
When I was building my home.
A supermarket, but you pick up some electric wires, and there's a lot of electric stuff being sold by a lot of supermarkets, Chinese supermarkets otherwise. Are you guys playing a role in, I know that you're playing a role in testing concrete blocks and gold jewelry. Let us talk a little along those lines.
Of course, the GNBS Industrial Metrology and Testing Department provides testing for concrete hollow blocks. We have gold jewelry, and we have the various calibration services that department also provides for measuring instruments. For testing, you mentioned the hollow blocks, for example. We've had complaints about people just pick up the blocks and it crumble. We provide testing for 4, 6, and 8-inch blocks. And this is not just for the person building the home. The contractor, the manufacturer, anybody can come and submit the samples for us to get it tested. And we'll get it tested for the compressive strength, moisture content, and to ensure that it is durable, of durable quality.
But do you require, Bibi, does GNBS require that any company or individuals or so got a little small business and they want to go into making blocks, is it required that they're certified?
It's not a requirement per se, but we try to reach out. Like if we notice the businesses are doing
Is it
this.
a weakness of GNBS?
No. It
Why
is
not? So who looks after to make sure that these guys are up to, because you're talking about the building.
Yeah, but it is not a legal requirement for them to get certified. It is a program that is offered by the GNBS where we test and we certify. And if you are certified by the GNBS, for example, to manufacture concrete hollow blocks, you would have a certificate that is on your premise. So we try to tackle this by ensuring that persons know when you're going to purchase blocks from a manufacturer to look for that GNBS certificate, and that will tell you that the blocks are tested. And of course, we'll do the impromptu visit and test the blocks.
Remember, I said I have a question and
Stop them. Let me hear stop them.
Go ahead.
Let me find out if they're doing this because they ought to do this. Do you know you ought to go into the bonnet and examine every reconditioned car that is bought into this country? How do you know that those people, remember all reconditioned cars are used cars. They have been used, and most of them have been used for more than 3 years in Japan. How do you find a car that is a 2021 model and it's being sold again in 2022? So is it not true that you're supposed to go into those bonnet and see that all those things are in place, that the engines are good, that people don't buy a pig in a bag?
I'm sure that's a responsibility of someone to get that done, but while the GNBS monitors 17 categories of products, that doesn't fall under the 17.
The standards of cars coming in, of reconditioned
No,
cars
I think Freddie, what happens here, so there's two aspects of that. If you're buying a car, I think it's recommended, especially a used car, you take a mechanic. The second thing is, if you're not too happy with what you've gotten, what you've purchased, and maybe there's a breach, and we've heard complaints
That's
from
where they
other
come
dealers.
in.
No,
That's the
I think the
competition and
competition. I was about to think that that's where
consumer
That's what Annie that was
Yeah.
saying,
right. So the Guyana Competition and Competitive, I think, Commission it is.
CCSC.
Yeah, they are the ones that you could actually go and complain, and they would see it through. And I know of several cases like that they would take it to the end and engage the parties to have a resolution to that matter.
Well, I'm supposed to stump them, but I am stumped. If you have a body that regulates standard and you bringing in substandard cars,
But how do you say substandard?
no, I'm not saying substandard. I'm saying the body to regulate standards should see that substandard cars are not in the country.
Yeah, well, these are some of the things that we probably have.
But they wouldn't have the manpower
No,
know, they'll have to get hundreds of inspectors. You know how many cars come in this place? We just start PAE, and PAE almost finished. So they won't be able to...
PAF soon. Gold, jewelry. Now, a lot of people would say, man, I go to the jewelers and I end up, and I believe they give me a low carat or no
Yeah,
carat.
no. I could show you. This is a low carat.
A canto?
Sorry. It's not genuine. It always does something under my skin, yeah. I think this is Canto Gold.
I think so too.
And it's my precious wedding band.
Well,
I can invite you to come to the GNBS
Yes.
and we can get it tested.
Who gave it to you, Freddie Kissoon?
Yeah.
I hope Mrs. Kissoon is not watching. Who gave it to you, Freddie?
We both bought rings for each other when we got
you were
married.
there? Well,
I got to test this thing because it's created a thing under my skin, and I believe the metal is poor.
But Tyrone,
No, you have to test.
Tyrone, what are some of the things that if you're buying jewelry that GNBS could do?
All right, so we do provide testing, which is in the form of destructive and non-destructive for gold jewelry. So any person, let's say for instance, at a random individual, they may purchase a gold jewelry and they don't feel as though it's the right purity as what they wanted, 10 carats, 12 carats, whatever the case may be. They can bring that to the GNBS. We can have it tested and verified.
You have facilities here in Sophia.
Yes.
This is where the Housing Expo used to be, Guy Expo.
Guy Expo.
It's right in the Sophia Exhibition Center, folks. Freddie, you want to jump in back there?
Yeah, given the nature of your job, which is very extensive, you have to be working with a number of organizations, particularly in the medical field.
When it comes to the
Or the
certification,
certifying labs.
yeah, when it comes to medical lab, we also collaborate with the Ministry of Health. So the labs are registered with the Ministry of Health, and then they go through the certification process with us. When it comes to Made in Guyana, for example, those manufacturers, we work with the Guyana Manufacturing and Services Association. When it comes to the standards, in relation to what standard we're dealing with, we deal with stakeholders in that sector. So if it's a standard for an agricultural produce, the farmers, the Ministry of Agriculture, PAHO, those organizations will be a part of that.
Both of you worked with the Bureau Standard in 2019?
Neither.
No.
Okay. Because remember, that was a big thing in the country. The government then in 2019 had banned used tires. And
Yes.
so all the cars that came into the country had to have a certain standard of tires.
Yes, they're
But-
new tires.
Right, but since that ban has been banned after 2020, so used tires could be imported. But since you were not involved in 2019, I will pass with the tire thing.
Actually, I do have some information on that was asked by Gildarie earlier, and it's in relation to importation
Before you get
of
there, Bibi,
tires.
sorry about that. I don't want to stop your tracks.
Yeah.
I just want to put it in context. I had to go change my tires over 2 weeks back. I bought at one of those crossover CRV a couple of years back. And it so happened that it came with new tires. And I was driving this thing, the tires are good meat on it. I think that's what the boys have called it. And it started keeping, I'm hearing a lot of noise while I'm driving. So I took it on to the tire shop, and it says, do you know that you have snow tires on there? I said, what are snow tires? They said them thing with them Japan, and so they have it there and they use it during the snow time. I said, and they bought that down here. How did that pass GNBS? I want to ask you that question. Or what does GNBS do to regulate tires coming into the country? And then the second part of the question would have to be, you would see new tires come into the country. It's marked new, but it's new because it's never been used, but it's 10 years old. Let's talk about those two things.
I think 10 years is a lot.
Right. I'm certain it's
Yes, the GNBS monitor, as you mentioned, new and used tires. And new tires, 2 years or older, should not be imported to the country. And then used tires, or even the new tires, if it's imported into the country and it gets to 6 years, it should not be sold. So the GNBS does monitoring at the ports of entry and at the bonds or the warehouses where these tires are taken from the port to the warehouses. For the first half of 2023, actually, we've had to destroy 3,538 tires. And these are tires that either they don't meet that years that they're supposed to be, less than 6 years to be sold and less than 2 years to be imported into the country. For used tires, we also found that they have different defects. For example, the damaged bead area, low tread depth, cracks in the sidewall.
And these are used ones.
Yes, uneven wear. And the inspectors, on visiting these premises, they would inform the person, the business owner, that these tires don't meet the requirements and they have to be destroyed. And the GNBS will go about destroying the tires.
Can I you said something that's interesting. You know, a tire is almost an indestructible thing. Where did you discover?
Not on Guyana roads.
Where did you put
They
those
usually
2,000
use
by
a
the
blade.
Hague Bosch dump site?
They usually use a blade and they destroy the tires, and then I will have to get back to you on what happens after that
You
process.
can't use a blade to destroy it.
No.
To
Maybe
ensure
not
to
use
damage
it
it, to
anymore.
ensure that the person can't continue.
No,
to
I
sell
thought
that
you
to
I thought you
consumers.
confiscated the 3,000 tires.
No, the damage is
like
right
when
there.
Food and Drug confiscate things.
No, it's
Oh,
damaged right there, and then they would dispose
Oh,
of
so
it.
they will have to dispose of it
Dispose of
themselves.
it, yes.
But coming back to the question of how do we allow, because Freddie had complained sometime back that we were bringing in we call the antifreeze, a cooler.
Oh,
right?
wait, no, Gildarie, let me
you ask.
let
You
me
ask.
let me see if that is within their remit.
Right.
Okay, because it's a science now.
Science, right?
It's a science.
I think I read that article, so I know where this is coming from.
Good. So, you put a chemical in a country where your radiator would freeze like a hammer. When it's winter,
And it doesn't allow it to freeze if you start it.
No. In Guyana, if you put that chemical in a radiator, it will burst your radiator because you see the weather we have now. You in the report in the cricket match that was played yesterday, they said in sweltering weather, the match was played, the T20 between India and West Indies was played in sweltering weather. And you are putting something in that radiator that heats it up in a country with sweltering weather. You put that thing to heat up the radiator in a country where when it's so cold you can't even touch your hand. Now, I went to Giftland supermarket to the pet section, and right next to the pet section was this 2-liter bottle of antifreeze coolant selling for $7,000. How can somebody buy turned milk to drink? How could you put antifreeze coolant in your radiator?
I would buy tonic and make with peanuts with it.
To drink? You see, I said
To drink.
I
No, but
never
I'm
said
not saying-
why would somebody buy turned milk.
No. I said I
turned
would
milk.
buy it, but
so
I paid
what
for
is it?
peanuts.
I am suggesting to you seriously now, Tyrone and Bibi, take those antifreeze coolant out of Guyana. It is impossible to wear a winter jacket tomorrow in Guyana. The weather say it's going to be very hot. Do you have the jurisdiction to remove those antifreeze coolant from the stores?
Unfortunately not. It's not one of the items that we monitor, but I'm thinking that's GRA responsibility.
If they allow it into the country.
That's not
Yeah.
GRA. That's GRA.
Well, then let me say as a continuation to Freddie Kissoon, fairy lights is coming to the country, electric wire drop cards and things like that. And when you put it on, you put some load on them, then you realize
a
it's not good.
defective
How
fan.
do you guys do that, or is somebody else? Who does that?
Actually, yes, we monitor electrical fittings and equipment, and we do monitor decorative lighting. So we do this at the ports of entry as well through the ASICO system that is linked with GRA. All the items that we monitor will be informed that they're coming into the country or they're here and they need to be inspected. The importers of these products are required to register with the GNBS. For each year, they have to register with the GNBS, and then we'll inspect it and ensure it meets the requirements. But another thing with those fairy lights that you mentioned, sometimes persons don't read the labeling. So the labeling requirements would have that they have to have a certification mark that says that they were certified and they're okay to use, but also whether they're to be used indoor or outdoor. And sometimes some persons would take something that has use indoor and use it outdoor, and after a couple of days it's not working, or even one night and it's not working.
I'm required as a journalist, and you're never retired from it, to ask you this. Have you been receiving as GNBS a lot of complaints about the products that are being imported from China, and more specifically that are in our Chinese supermarket being sold? And if so, what has GNBS done about that?
At this point in time, I can confirm to you that the complaints that we received are specifically for one demographic or for the Chinese supermarkets. However, we do monitor all of these supermarkets, shops, variety stores, everyone that sells electrical fittings and equipment. And for the first half of 2023, we had to put thousands of these items on hold, and then
This is at the point in time at the wharves.
at the sale outlet as well as the ports of entry. When we put it on hold, these are for instances where there is no certification mark. They can reach out to the manufacturer and get a certificate or a document stating that these are certified. They have no brand name, no country of origin. We give them time to supply these documents and proper labeling. They each, if you're buying a power outlet or one of those, what you call the receptacles, each one of them is supposed to be labeled with the volt and the watt
Right.
and all of these things. So we've had to seize and remove 3,763 electrical fittings and equipment for the first half of 2023.
Tyrone, what does a business development officer, that's your title, what does a business development officer does at the Bureau Standard?
All right, so as of right now, one of my main responsibilities is stakeholder engagements. So when it comes to selling the services of the Bureau, going out, making persons aware that, hey, these are the services we offer, these are the services you can capitalize on. That's basically my responsibility. Going out, bring awareness, and of course, to let persons know how they can develop their own businesses utilizing our services.
And what are some of those services that do you charge for them? Are there's a fee or something that you'd have to pay? Well, give us some ideas as to a couple of those services that you would, people out on the street, businesses. I know that you're talking about products made in the end and so on, bed and breakfast certification and so on.
Yeah, so with regard to all of our certification programs, there is a costing that's attached. The costing would differ depending on the type of certification you're going after, and of course, depending in some instances on the type of facility or the type of product that you're looking to get certified specifically. With regard to at least one of the main service that a lot of persons pay the money to be able to get that service from us would be training and technical assistance, and we haven't really talked much about that tonight. When we talk about training,
Well, let's talk more.
Yes. So when we talk about training and technical assistance, we're talking about persons that just simply want to know a little bit more about any of the standards that are available, especially with regard to these international standards like management systems and all these things. Now, an individual may just want to get some understanding of what the standard really requires of me to do or my organization to do. In some cases, they may just want to apply this standard to their specific organization. What the GNBS has been doing is that every year we conduct trainings throughout the entire year. So we put out a schedule at the beginning of the year, letting persons know that, hey, these are all the trainings, these are all the standards that we're going to be training persons on. And any individual, it doesn't matter which sector you're coming from, once you feel interested within this specific training, you sign up, you get that. In addition to that, though, companies, it doesn't matter how big you are, how small you are. Once you're looking to get certified to, let's say, an international standard, the GNBS steps in there again to provide that technical assistance that you need. So what we mean by that is we help you to build that system.
Just one thing, I need to interject there. I know that we run out of time.
Yeah.
But for the folks that are out there want to know, why is it I'm listening to GNBS tonight? Is it a requirement by all companies that you be certified before you do business with them?
It is.
And this what is important? And what are some of the areas? And you could talk about that.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've been receiving, at least feedback from a lot of the companies that we work with, is that they're looking to get ISO certified just for the sake of tapping into that oil and gas sector.
And ISO is a well-recognized standard in which you have to meet, right?
Yes.
Good.
And there are different ISO standards, some with health and safety, the most common one being the one that deals with quality, a quality management system. So a lot of companies that are looking to tap into that sector, they try to get certified to these international standards. That's where the GNBS would step in to help them along that line, set everything up that they need to get.
I am going to say something here. My wife is going to divorce me tomorrow. I've been married for 44 years and I have done the shopping for 44 years. Why is it? I found this, and this is factual. If you go to Matai supermarket or Massey supermarket, anything, a packet of fudge or anything, it has a barcode, the person the cashier swipes it. But there's one exception. It's Bounty chicken. The cashier looks at the barcode and just to type in something. That comes under
Because it's a food product, it will not.
Okay. My operator just signaled our time has come. I'll ask Gildarie to have a say, and then we go back to the two of you, and we'll conclude.
Yes, Freddie, unfortunately, I would love to GNBS to come back. We're going to have to invite you guys back because we have a lot of folks out there, middle class, and a lot of them are overseas and so on. And they would want to ask you because of what you've said here tonight. I am educated here too. It's brought a lot of awareness to myself. I'm also happy that we have young people in our midst in Guyana at a key regulatory body like GNBS that are telling people, that are sensitizing our people in Guyana. And that for me is something that is very good. But we didn't get a touch on the oil and gas and what you guys would have done. So I would say it warrants, Freddie, that we ask Bibi and Tyrone to be back here whenever you guys are ready, and we could even do call-ins because people ask about scales. They're gonna want to talk about what's happened in some of the experiences. I saw one person very quickly said that when you go to the some of the stalls and so on, the people would have one scale for GNBS, and when they're gone, they have one scale for the customers. And so these are the things. And by the way, Freddie, some people disagreed with you. The antifreeze said it's a good conditioner. I'm reading it here for daycare, and they don't have any problem with it. But it's
so, what does antifreeze mean?
I don't know. I am not technical.
Well, all I would suggest to those persons who said that, they should seek the advice of a chemical engineer.
I don't know.
Or they should ask some person what does antifreeze means. Commonsensical antifreeze means a chemical that stops freezing. But you find all kinds of people in this world. Maybe they like it because it's American foreign product. But Bibi and Tyrone, we've got 2 minutes more. So what do you want to conclude with, starting with Bibi?
Of course, I would like to encourage persons to reach out to the GNBS if you have any questions or suggestions about any of the services we offer. As you would have learned, we offer a wide range of services from calibration, verification, certification, testing, and training, technical assistance. Reach out to us on 219-0064-66, or we have a 24-hour WhatsApp service that you can reach out to, which is 692-4627. And that is basically 692-GNBS if you have a phone like Freddie's phone. So
you could complain to them. That's what they are.
This has standard. The blue standard to check if these things come. Did I get my $3,000 worth to this thing? It's sticking.
It looks like you did. I see you receiving calls and sending out calls. That's the main function of it.
What is the business development officer for the Bureau Standard? What will he be doing?
Mr. Rambacchus.
Could you pronounce that?
I'm going to come to that just now.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say in closing is that, well, I echo the same sentiments as Bibi. When it comes to the different services that we provide, any of our listeners or viewers, once they are interested in any of these services we outline or we discussed, just feel free, reach out to the GNBS. We're always there to provide you with the information. We're always there to give you that guidance. If it's not something that you necessarily can utilize from us, we're happy to point you in the right direction. So we're always there, and we stand ready and able to work with you.
Mango Pelto Standard.
Before I close, Bibi, you can take off your Brewer Standard hat, and let's come back in the studio some other time and let's talk about journalism, because you're in the company of 2 Guyanans long-serving journalists, and I know you're a journalist, so would you join us sometime and talk about journalism? Of
course, that'll be a quite interesting conversation.
We wouldn't talk about Brewer Standard because you wouldn't have, that would not be in your remit. The program is strictly journalism.
No problem.
And before I conclude, if we have a call-in program, I am going to ask people to call in and tell me how many people they knew and know in Guyana that has the name Rambacchus. Now I'm asking seriously, Gildarie, stop your nonsense. I'm asking seriously.
My dad is Rambacchus.
Do you know anybody, the Rambacchus you know is related to him? Outside of this Rambacchus family.
I can name 5 of them.
Okay, but they're all related to him though. Like I know you Bibi, do you know anyone before you met this guy named Rambacchus?
It so happens that I have a few cousins that have the last
She
name.
related to.
But
You related? No, seriously, you related to him too, right?
we have some common relatives, yes.
So the only Rambacchus is this man
It's his family,
and
yes.
his extended family?
The rest are either Ram or Bacchus.
Look,
They don't go together.
Finally, I'm coming to you guys with this thing.
Of course.
I think this thing is bad method. Ladies and gentlemen, Guyanese, wherever you are, you were watching two representatives from the Bureau of Standard discussing the work and the world of the National Bureau of Standard. Tyrone Rambacchus, the Business Development Officer, and Bibi Khatoon, former journalist, now Communication Officer with the National Bureau of Standards. Our operator keep banging me in my ears that our time has come. It was very interesting. We'll have both persons back on a call-in program so people can call in and ask them their questions. We will be here on Friday as usual. Thanks for watching to us on behalf of Leonard Gildarie. Special and wonderful thanks to two young people who have the future in front of them. Bibi Khatoon, development.
Khatoon.
I said cartoon?
Yes, you did.
I'm married to a Muslim woman, I know, but cartoon.
Oh my goodness. It's one of those days, ladies and gentlemen.
Bibi, please pronounce your name for me.
Khatoon.
Bibi Khatoon. I got it right there?
Yes, you did.
Right. Bibi Khatoon, communication specialist with the National Bureau of Standard, and Tyrone Rambacchus, Business Development Officer. And as usual, the man with the stale joke.
My heart was in my hand with a Rambacchus, but go ahead.
And as usual, the man with the stale jokes by my side here, Guyana's enduring journalist, Leonard Gildarie. I got that pronounced.
Yeah, you got it right.
We'll see you on Friday evening as usual. Take care. As Gildarie would say, drive safely, be on the road safely, and take care of each other on the road. Catch you later. See you Friday evening.